Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Deviants. Welcome to show. I am the Clitoris, and I am here with.
Oh, the Gooch.
And the Devo Slack. I forget who I am.
And apparently, maybe, I don't know, but I think we might be the Social Deviants.
Yeah, I
who
think we are.
here
We are. So that man's a fucking
today
dummy.
to finalize our Battle Royale with cheese. Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Star Trekkie.
And going into the final round, let's recap here. We had Padme versus Troy. Not Toi.
Toi.
With Brad Pitt and
That-
fucking Eric Bana
Poussoir.
talking about Counselor Troy. We give it to Padme.
Padme, 100%.
We had Captain Benjamin Sisko against General Lando Calrissian. We give it to Sisko.
Cisco, of course. Huh?
We had Tuvok
Speaking of
versus
Mike
Finn.
Gooch.
Oh, sorry.
We had Tuvok.
Tuvok.
We had Data versus General Grievous. We give it to Data.
Fucking yeah.
We had Commander William Riker against Captain Poe Dameron and Devo. Who'd we give it to?
Fucking William T. Riker.
Is his middle name T as well?
Yeah.
They're both T? Interesting.
William Thomas, fool.
William Thomas. Then we had 7 of 9 versus Captain Phasma. I think this was one of the most lopsided ones, it seems like. I really tried to argue for Phasma, but she really had no chance.
No chance. Huh?
We had Worf versus Chewbacca. We give it to Worf.
We did.
And at this point, it was like 6-1.
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Padme Full was the only one that's holding her own.
Padme was the only one that handled business. Then we had Boba Fett versus Khan Noonien Singh, and Boba won that.
Got to give it to Boba the Fett, Full.
Yes.
Because my backpacks got jets.
That's right. He needs a
I'm
fucking
Boba
Corvette.
the Fets.
And then in the last episode, we had 4 matchups. One was Gul Dukat versus Cassian Andor. Cassian didn't have no title, right? I mean, he was a lieutenant or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, be like captain.
Captain. He probably was captain. And we gave it to Cassian Andor, Devo's boy. Diego Luna, a fucking badass.
Yeah, he's sick.
Latino heat.
And then we had Commander Spock versus Chirrut Imwe. I don't think Chirrut had some title or whatever.
No, it was just
That
like
fucking
he was
monk.
like some fucking monk, dude. He was like a bum.
We give it to Spock.
Fucking bum.
Fucking bum.
Jules, you're going to be a fucking bum. And then we had Captain Jean-Luc Picard controversially going down to Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
Gooch is still quite a little salty about that,
Picard
actually.
needs to win that one, dude.
I know. Gooch is all on Picard. But then we had Han Solo against Captain James G. Kirk, which put Star Wars back on the map.
This is one of the few unanimous ones, by the way, because this is
Han Solo?
Yeah, we said Han Solo
Yeah.
all the way through here.
Oh, well, it's Han Solo.
Yeah.
And that put Star Wars down 7-5. So Star Trek still ahead 7-5, but we got 3 matchups, and these matchups will determine. But Star Wars really needs to run the table. They really need to run the table if they want to win this.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
before we get into that, I have a question for you guys. I have one before we get into this, and then I'll have one at the very end. That'll be like the second part of this.
Sure.
We're comparing these characters and so forth, but I'm curious which one of these franchises do you guys think has the better tech, the better technology?
Ooh.
Star Trek. It's funny because I think Star Trek, like the Federation, like their ships are vastly superior to the ships in
Star
Wars.
Wars,
They're
yeah.
vastly superior. Their mode of transportation, on the other hand, goes to
Star Wars.
Star Wars, because they're hyperspace. They can travel from one end of the galaxy to the other. I mean, it takes a while, but it doesn't take like months on end. Because if you're going warp speed, because you're still going multiples of
Right.
light speed, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about transwarp, which the Borg use.
Yeah.
The Borg use is the transwarp is pretty much exactly what hyperspace is.
And isn't that what happened to Voyager?
Yeah, well, Voyager hit like some weird wormhole or some transwarp gate that threw him into the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah.
Which is what millions of light years away
Yeah.
from the Alpha Quadrant, which is the Alpha Beta Quadrant and the Gamma Quadrant are the ones that they traverse. The Delta Quadrant is fucking hell far from everything. Right. And it was the far end of the Delta Quadrant. So they have to travel through all the Delta Quadrant just to get to
Where they were.
at the edge of the Delta Quadrant, which is like they were on. I think they were on the edge of the gamma of the Delta Quadrant. So that they have beat. And whatever the Death Star and Star Killer bases, it has that one then beat at that point too. But like overall, I would give it to.
But you also said that the way that some of the stuff that they like I guess Han Solo does, where they're like in fucking hyperspeed, like inside the fucking atmosphere of a planet and shit like that. You're saying like you can't really control the fucking warp speed as quite as well as the fucking as you can hyperspeed.
Well, hyperspace is like because they're in hyperspace because they're like pretty much going through like another universe, pretty much, right? So like everything's there.
Is that true, Devo?
Yeah, it's
maybe
like
not like another universe, but
it's like another conduit. So everything's there. That's why you have to move out of the way. That's why you can stop.
They
right
have
in front of it.
lanes,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why they have to like input the lanes that they're gonna go, so that way so that way they don't crash into other starships.
Yeah.
or planets or planetary things.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
But in Star Wars and Star Trek, it's so that's why they can just show up in like real close to a planet. It's dangerous, but they can do it. That's what they proved in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
In Star Trek, though, since it's actually just it's still a physical form. If you get too close to a planet, you'll crash because the planet the gravity will pull you in, and there's no way. That's why they have to actually come out a few 100,000 kilometers away from the planet before
they go into warp
before
speed.
before they go into warp speed. That's why they turn around and shit like that. Or when they get out of the planet. I mean, it looks close, but they're hundreds of kilometers away from the
no like human based species that has a ship has what capability that the Borg cube has.
No, the Federation have transwarp. I mean, it's not readily available, but there's a few ships that have the transwarp.
Yeah, and that was like the one thing that when they got a hold of Borg technology, they were trying to figure out.
Okay, like how to do this thing.
Exactly.
Reverse engineer the shit.
And for fuck's sake, I mean, there's Voyagers, and there's an interesting episode where future versions of the Federation show up, right? And they're like from 2750 or some fucking far off time, and it's like the time prime directive. So they make they have time travel in Star Trek, like legitimate time travel. So
what's the mechanism?
I don't know. They can't explain it, because if they explain it, they're breaking their laws. So they know there's time travel there, but they can't explain it because it's part of the whole chicken and the egg type of thing.
Yeah.
So Devo, your opinion overall, who has better tech?
It's gotta be Star Trek.
Really, by far.
By far.
I mean, we already established that the phaser is like a fucking
superior weapon. Star Wars doesn't have anything close to transport technology. Mm-hmm. The ships, like light speed, I think is better than warp speed, but that's again kind of like cutting hairs. The ships are they're better designed for the need that they are intended for, as opposed
exploration.
to So like an X-wing, like it looks cool, but like is that the most like is that the best defined fighter that you can have? Like you got a Y bomber, okay, then like what? Why is it a Y? Like doesn't make sense. Why not just make it look like something that moves fast?
Yeah.
So that it's but in terms of tech, like, and I think another thing that helps contribute to it too is that with Star Trek, a lot of engineers that have developed a lot of technology that we use today use Star Trek as an inspiration. Like fucking your flip phones and the internet, shit like that. Like Star Trek has that impact that Star Wars doesn't.
And when you say transport, you mean like where they can like beam themselves and shit like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing like that in Star Wars.
Not anything like that in Star Wars.
And it's funny because like a lot of the stuff that makes like the characters in Star Wars so powerful is stuff that isn't scientific. It's mystical shit, right? Like the Force and all those fucking crystals and all this bullshit like that, right? Not dilithium crystals, but the fucking what are they called?
The Kyber.
The Kyber crystal.
Kyber.
Yeah.
Kaiba.
Yeah.
So
So
get that Kyber. That,
So
that
but also
red Kyber.
Also, I mean, you're talking about like Star Wars is taking place like, a long time ago, right? In a galaxy far, far away. I guess it's all relative because you're talking about like beings that are living in a world that is more technologically advanced than we live in, but it still like was in a previous date, right?
Yeah.
A previous
Yeah.
time, because
Yeah.
they may have like, and
Yeah, now it might be different, but we're talking about like
How far in the future is Star Trek? Like 200, 300 years or something?
the
Like 2235 or something.
The first one isn't that much more. It's like 100 years from now, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And then
okay.
I think Star Trek TNG is what 2373 or something, 2388 or something. It's like 80 years after the what happens in the first series. So whatever the first series, and then you add 80 years, and that's what the TNG is. And then Voyager and Deep Space Nine happen in the same time period as TNG.
Okay, so let's get into the matchups here. Devo, you ready for this one?
I'm ready. Let's go.
So, should I actually start it off with the one gooch that you
Dude,
fucking
just
think?
start off with what you think you need to
No,
start
I'm saying
off
like
with.
just for terms of like just the drama of the matchup overall. Should I save that one for last, or should I
actually don't know
do
which
it for-
I actually don't know.
no
which
the one that you were laughing at earlier? That you thought was
that
prepos-
one.
You thought was preposterous.
preposterous.
Yeah. Should I say that one for the end or no?
It's up to you. I don't know.
Because if we do that one first and they win, then they get the one and they win and it's over. But I don't know if Devo actually agree with that one or not. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Just do it. Just do the first one right now.
Okay, so the first one that we
Because
have.
that way, if it ends, then we just fucking hammer through the rest of them.
Okay. So we're actually gonna like the last two though. But the first one, this first matchup, is we're putting a fucking Jedi, the most powerful Jedi. Would you consider Yoda to be the most powerful Jedi?
Jedi, yes.
Okay, but he's not the most powerful being that has ever existed
No,
in
I
Star
think
Wars.
I think
Darth
maybe-
Bane or some bullshit.
maybe not Palpatine, but like, I don't know, maybe Yoda is one. The number one.
Number one.
Well, Yoda. We'll see Yoda.
Okay,
All right,
Yoda's the most powerful being in the fucking Star Wars universe. Let's just say, Gucci, you agree with that? Would you say that he is?
Good aligned character. I would say yes.
Will you have a battle line character that you think is more powerful?
I don't know. Palpatine's probably up there. But I mean, at that point, you're like again, they're just splitting hairs at that
Yeah,
point.
Splitting hairs, baby.
So yeah,
And they don't have a Force Ghost, obviously, which
No,
is odd.
no.
Which is the Sith.
They
don't get
they might have Sith ghosts. I don't know. They just don't show them. I have no idea.
I think in Devo, if I'm not mistaken, in the wake up, in the Clone Wars or in Rebels, isn't there like some Sith spirit that shows up of Darth? Is it Bane or is it a different?
No, not
one?
Darth Bane. So, Anakin and Obi-Wan go to like this. What is it? It's not like a planet or a plane or anything, but they deal with
It's like some caves or something shit like that.
they deal with the what's his name, the father, the daughter, and the son. And the father is like the balance of the Force. The daughter is the light side of the Force, and the son is the dark side of the Force. It's some weird fucking
Interesting. Yeah, good.
it's weird, crazy shit. But the son is always trying to manipulate people to like do what he wants to kill his father, so he could take over. The daughter is always trying to seek to do good, but nothing good ever happens. It's really, really, really weird. It's like a 3-part episode, but it's not like it's not intended to be like this is an explanation for the
Force.
the Force, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Even though they say it's like the beginnings of the Force. So,
Interesting.
Interesting.
yeah.
But so if we have the most powerful being in Star Wars, I guess we're gonna have to choose the most powerful being in Star Trek, and that's Q. I'm gonna start off by just throwing my hand in there, and I know Gooch, you're gonna say what you're gonna say, but I have faith in Yoda. Fuck Q. He's an asshole. I love Yoda. I'm picking Yoda, damn it. This fool's laughing at me. I pick
one-
fucking Yoda.
Here's one problem. Yoda's, let's say, the strongest Jedi ever made, ever, right?
Yeah.
Q's confronting Yoda. Yoda's like, I don't want this to, like, whatever you're going to do, I don't want it to happen. You know what happens? This is the snap of a finger. And that's all Q has to do.
Yeah.
To do what?
Anything he
Anything
wants.
you want.
Anything he
But-
wants.
But now
He-
that they may be true,
Yoda,
but that doesn't mean that he could also do it to Yoda.
Oh, no. Makes Yoda female?
Done.
It does, but how do you know? Yoda uses the Force. How does the Force interact with Q? Is Q more powerful than the Force?
The Force is not, like, Q can make anything he wants happen with a snap of a finger.
Yeah.
There's been times where he's ready to snap, and Picard's like, don't snap. And then Q would be like, okay, Jean-Luc. And, like, he won't do it because he's got such respect for Jean-Luc. I don't think he's going to have that same respect for you. Obviously not off the bat, but he's going to need Yoda to, like, earn that respect. But if he wants to make Yoda, I don't know, a female,
Or
snap of a
take
finger.
all of Yoda's midichlorians away. Hey, you see this bag right here? It's all your midichlorians. They're all in here.
And that's another thing too is because midichlorians, like a Jedi's force ability is now connected to a physical thing.
Yeah, it's even worse now.
Q can here's all your force stuff. Or even if he didn't have midichlorians, like say like the force is just like your force thing, Q could just be like, now you're not.
Now
force.
there's no more force.
Now you don't have a lightsaber. Now you don't have a walking stick.
But how do you know he has
now
power
you got,
over that?
Now you got a limp dick because he's shown he's got power to be able to like
Over the Force.
He
not-
over everything.
anything.
Anything.
He has gone like
There, the
like
Q-
there have been times where like he's talking to Picard. It's like I don't want you to talk anymore, and like your voice is gone.
Yeah, dude, his Q continuum are omnipotent beings.
Yeah.
then
They've created entire worlds, like entire planets, and crushed them and created them all over again. That's how powerful these beings are.
Yeah.
If there's anything that are as close to gods in any universe, they're
the Q.
They're the Q continuum is the god.
Explain what the Q continuum
The Q
is.
continuum, it's pretty much there's the Qs, right? They're pretty much omnipotent being. Omnipotent being, they're all powerful. They're not benevolent or malevolent. They're omnipotent, meaning they're not good or bad. They're just there.
And they didn't create the galaxy.
They didn't create the galaxy. They're a species, but they're these cosmic entities that have this enormous amount of power that. And you know the crazy thing about it? They're born. They're born.
Yeah.
They're two Q continuum. QQ make one Q. You know, and
so do the math on that.
yeah,
Two QQ
to
make one Q.
one QQ. Yeah, but like and they have laws and they have all this stuff. You know what? You can destroy a planet and not break their law. But you know what breaks their laws is trying to become human, to try to be someone that eventually will die. That's what some of them.
Which
long
is weird
for.
because Q doesn't want that, but he wants to experience every other aspect
but
of being
there
human.
is a Q that wants that. There's a Q that wants to die, but they
Oh.
don't allow him to do it. It's one of the.
Oh, he doesn't
Voyager-
want his consciousness to be alive anymore.
Right? No, he is.
Like,
he wants.
sentient anymore.
He wants the Q continuum to take away his Q powers
Oh,
and
he
then-
just wants to live normally.
and then kill him.
he just doesn't want to live
He
anymore.
wants to die because a Q can never die. He wants to do something that's never happened.
not because
and-
he's tired of it or something.
I mean, he's imagine living an eternity and being able to do everything you've ever wanted to do.
It's fucking boring.
He just got bored and he's like, why do I want to live anymore? There's no reason for me to be a part of this universe because I've done everything in this universe.
I mean, even though
Yeah.
it's their laws, doesn't mean they can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So you telling me that the Force, hell, we may even they maybe created the Force. Shit, we don't know.
It's
I mean,
possible. I'm just saying that it's also possible that there may be something that
Big-
they haven't encountered yet that they can't control.
True.
Right? Like how the you said
Like
the
the Borg, maybe?
with
No.
8472.
They're not. They knew about the Borg.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you know how there's a species 8472 that comes in and then all of a sudden the Borg are like, oh fuck, like this doesn't work.
I'm sure the Q knew about them.
I'm sure he did, but I'm just saying like he doesn't know anything about the Force. May not be able to.
And the only time they're ever vulnerable is when the Q continuum like decides that they overstep their bounds, like an individual Q overstep their bounds, or they broke the law and they take away their powers to punish them. There's an episode where they punish the Q from the Enterprise from TNG and make them human, right? And then there's this being called the Calamarain It's like this big gaseous form that the Q tortured for an eternity because they did something to Q and they made him angry, so he pretty much turned him into this gaseous form, which is like a bunch of like it's a huge entity in space that's a gas, but it's actually made out of minute entities, but it looks like a big gaseous thing. So he asked for refuge from the Enterprise because they can't go through the shields, but then. And then they're like, well, we should just give it to him. Everyone was like, Wrecker was like, just give it to him. Give him the Q. Give the Q to the Calamari. Fuck him. That's what they wanted to. Seriously, Riker was for it. All of them was like,
gives zero fucks.
It'll be easy.
Zero
fucks. But Jean-Luc, knowing that that's wrong, is giving someone away for. But then again, once he gets his power back, what does Q do? Becomes an asshole again.
Yep.
He puts the big ass cloud like in a bottle and is like, "This is what you motherfuckers start shaking and shit." So, unless their society decides to punish one of theirs, there's absolutely nothing anyone can do in the Star Trek universe against a Q. Hands down.
Do you agree with this, Devo?
I think so. Yeah.
So you pick Q.
Yep.
I still think that Yoda would win, and I also think if you wrote a story where Yoda encountered Q, Yoda would win because Yoda's a good guy, and Q, like you said, has these qualities that make him not good in some ways, and that like the point of the story would be that someone like Yoda could overcome some omnipotent being, right? Like there's some way you find it, and if they wrote a story, I think that's what would happen.
Well, maybe like outsmart him, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe that way, but I think.
But like practically, obviously, you're talking about some omnipotent being. I'm just trying to say I fucking love Yoda. But
I know, we know. And
he's great. Yeah.
he
But
likes
still,
Q.
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 You gotta
Okay,
give it Q.
so that basically means that Star Trek is 1. They're up 8-5, but we got 2 more. Are you gonna make it, Devo?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'll stand up if I have to.
Okay, let's do it.
Do some running back.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This is a good one, actually. I like this one a lot, actually. We're gonna go with the Death Star. Let's just say Death Star before it got blown up, when it was at its peak.
Okay.
When
Death
it's at
Star
its
1.
peak.
Death Star 1.
Death Star 1, and you have like Peter Cushing's on fucking board, Vader's on board and shit, and let's just say the Emperor showed up. I know he was never on it, but let's just say the Emperor had been on it at some point, right? And against a Borg cube.
Technology-wise, if they had if the Death Star happens to hit it with its pew pew laser, the big one, it might destroy the Borg cube.
Right. And I
But-
agree.
Is the Borg cube agile enough to?
I think it's agile enough to
Yes,
to
because the cubes can like they'll be going and all of a sudden it's like up and
yeah,
down. And
they
left and right,
move
up,
like that. And that's the
Really?
problem.
Yeah, they can move in that crazy space.
and it's like it's like
the Death
almost-
Star's not quite as agile.
No,
I mean, Starkiller Base was more agile, but still, they take a long time to get set
I don't
up.
think Starkiller Base is agile at all.
Yeah, that's a
well,
planet.
it could go into hyperspace though. Could the Death Star do the same?
Death Star did. Well,
Yeah.
it did in Rogue One.
Oh yeah, right. That's
And
right.
the Star- I mean, it
it
did-
did do that. Yeah,
and it did in New Hope. It moved from Alderaan to Yavin.
So and then the Borg cube, it's like projectile.
It's weapons. I mean, its weapons decimated like 150 ships of the Federation and the Klingons of the Mind at Wolf 359. I mean, absolutely decimate just one Borg cube.
Could that Borg cube destroy if it hit the fucking Death Star?
I don't even think the original Death Star has a shield.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
No, the original
The
Death
one
Star
in Empire does, or Endor.
And Endor has, and then
yeah.
even if they go up against that one, all they had to do was bomb the fucking
one
the
location.
one location on the
Yeah.
on
In
Endor,
it's in
and then there's no
core,
shield
yeah.
anymore.
Well, yeah.
You know, and
How
so-
are the Borg cube shields?
Oh, I mean, they have exactly the same type of shields that the personal Borgs have. It's like they can shoot them maybe once or twice before they adapt.
So hold on, would the Borg cube be able to adapt from the shot from the Death Star? And could the Death Star pierce the fucking?
That's the question. So I think that's the only way the Death Star wins. If they happen to shoot it, and whatever energy source that is, whatever type of energy that is, let's say it's pure energy, at one concentrated thing, they'll kill it. I'm almost sure. But that's you're like, all right,
You have to hit it.
we
and
got
shit.
one shot, baby. We
Yeah.
got one shot, and we don't have the force to help it to shoot it into the whatchamacallit.
I mean, it kills planets. Planets don't fucking move in the same way. That the Borg
Exactly.
cube
No,
does,
there's
right?
no way. I mean, a planet's pretty much a stationary.
How big is a Borg cube compared to the planet? Is it pretty
it-
tiny, or
It's tiny compared to it.
is it smaller than? It's a lot smaller than the Death Star, or
It's
comparable
probably
size?
probably smaller than Death Star, but the technology on it is vastly superior. It would literally cut it apart. Let's just say that.
So
Like,
you're saying like it just in terms of these two large things engaging each other, you're gonna say the Borg cube it would destroy it
it would destroy it. I mean,
unless it got hit, of course.
I mean, if it got hit, but then,
but you
and
don't think that would
and
happen?
You know, the crazy thing about it is that since that weapon is stationary, all they would have to do is just kind of like just rotate around it to keep that weapon away from it,
Yeah.
and that's all they would have to
And
do. And the Borg
can the
is
Death
smart
Star
enough to-
move when it's shooting the thing?
No, I don't think it has to. Remember,
It can't like move the thing around.
it had to stay stationary to hit Yavin 4. Remember,
And then it had to charge up, and then it could shoot.
remember they showed that 24 minutes to the line of sight type thing.
the weird thing is that once it actually got locked onto a target and shot, it was really quick. Actually, it was really fucking quick.
It was really quick, and they showed it in Jedi where it actually shot ships, but those ships again weren't moving quickly; they were stationary ships. And they're like, "What are they doing? What is that shot? Oh, it's an operational Death Star. Start, evasive maneuvers."
That was what fucking
Admiral
Akbar was
they're
talking
like,
about that.
they're like evasive maneuvers, so that they can't lock on. Right?
But they weren't aware. It got caught off guard.
They got caught off guard. They didn't think it was operational, so that's why I think it got off like 2 or 3 shots before the evasive maneuvers caught in.
Yeah.
Before they they got any more. But I think just the technology of the Borg cube would ultimately. It's a huge compared to the Borg cube. The Death Star is big
Yeah.
compared to the Borg cube.
Right.
But I think just the technology, it would just destroy them. You just eat away at them.
Devo?
You get that one shot from the Death Star, Borg cube's done. But the Borg cube, like it's able to pull pieces from other ships to replenish itself, right?
Yeah.
Really?
It
Yeah.
regenerates.
Oh,
It
fuck.
regenerates itself.
So
dude.
in God,
So you'd have to
in-
completely
in-
demolish it for
so
it to be
in that
gone.
First Contact movie, like you've got a ton of Starship, like Starfleet ships blasting with a Borg cube, but it's pulling off the wreckage from the other ships to rebuild itself.
Yeah.
So
It's insane.
that's another thing to take into consideration too. But if you get the Death Star to get that one blast on the fucking the Borg cube, it's obviously done.
Yeah.
You take the other side, the Borg cube gets on the other side of that giant turbo laser, like I'm pretty sure it can withstand the other blasts.
Oh, yeah.
And as long as it keeps blasting the surface, it could pull the chunks from the surface to replenish itself. It can pick away and grab I think it'll eventually find a way to get to the center. If it doesn't assimilate the Death Star and everybody on top of the Death Star,
Well, that's what I want to talk about next.
if it doesn't do that, then it'll just destroy the Death Star.
Yeah.
So let's say that they get to a stalemate in terms of projectile weapons from the distance, and they engage each other, kind of back in the day when motherfuckers were on boats and shit.
Yeah.
And so you're on a boat, and they sort of shoot each other with cannons, and then eventually they get to a stalemate where they get close enough where they're gonna board each other's
They
ships.
do that in Star Trek all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
They do that in
So
Star Trek all the
Yeah.
time.
if the Borg cube encounters the Death Star, and let's just say you have Vader and you have Palpatine's on board, and the Borg are coming on the Death Star, maybe if they push them back enough, they could board the Borg cube and try to kill him. Who do you guys think ends up victorious? Because on the Death Star, there's probably I don't know 1 million people,
The Borg.
hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of people.
The Borg
It's
would win.
actually the more people that are on the Death Star actually works against the fucking Empire,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Because they're just
Uh,
regular people, most of them,
maybe
right?
maybe not that. What works against the Empire is the fact that the Borg adapt.
Yeah.
So the Empire, they're armed with blasters
Yeah.
and maybe some hand-to-hand combat, but you get a couple stormtroopers blasting out a couple Borg. The Borg will adapt and they will deflect every single blaster shot.
There's nothing we'll be able to go through.
Yeah, and at that point, then Empire's fucking done.
So if you have the only 2 Sith in the galaxy left, the only 2 Sith,
like maybe if
Vader and
if
fucking
Darth
Palpatine.
Vader's on there, then as long as there's 1 or 2 Borg, maybe 4 or 5, he can swipe them down and probably kill them before they adapt and fucking prepare themselves. But if he's not able to do that and they adapt to his lightsaber, he's fucked.
No.
If they can, I don't know if they can adapt to his Force abilities.
Yeah, you can push him back, but that's all you can do. I mean, and throw stuff at him. Yeah, you could throw stuff at him.
Yeah,
You
but
could force choke
but
maybe one at a
if
time.
the Borg can adapt to his Force abilities, he's fucked.
Yeah. And
He's
so
fucked.
let's say they can't, because like Gooch said, if with the species 8472, what they had was some biological thing,
Yeah, they
right?
couldn't
If
adapt
you're talking
to
about they can adapt to it, and you're talking about the Force. You're talking about something mystical, right?
But then
So
again, like I said, he could only force choke and force push so many at once.
So do we, okay,
He
and
would
then what do you think about the Force lightning?
They could adapt to that because it's an energy
It's-
source.
yeah, it's an energy
like
attack.
electricity type
Yeah.
thing. So they would eventually adapt to that.
So do you think that Palpatine and Vader are they're not? You think that they would get overwhelmed and they would get killed?
I think they would be able to survive on the fact that they would I would assume they would team up and either push or pull or throw things at and delay the inevitable.
Yeah.
I think the 2 of them could do that.
Maybe they could survive and escape, but
No,
they
God
wouldn't be
for-
able to
God
kill them.
forbid they try to escape, because that's when they'll get caught by themselves. Because that's what the Federation tries to do. They're like, use the escape pods, and they're like, and they get caught with that really strong tractor beam.
Yeah.
And they literally assimilate everyone that tries to
Does Star
escape.
Wars have any tractor beams?
It does, but I don't know if it.
They used a tractor beam on Tantive 4 in
Yeah.
the very beginning of New Hope.
Oh, you're right. They tried to get away from it, and they got too far, and they had to go.
And then
on.
the Falcon was stuck in a tractor beam getting sucked into the Death Star.
In Death
Yep.
Star,
Yeah.
yeah. You're right. So you think that both of you guys think Borg Cube just destroys the Death Star
Yes.
over time? It would take a while, probably, but potentially.
Yeah, as long as they're not in the way of that turbo laser, they'll take it down.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's say, given that, so that's another win for Star Trek. Let's say, given that, we put the Jedi Council and we include, I don't want to just say the Jedi Council from Coruscant before it got fucking destroyed. I'm going to say all those badasses, and then you can add Luke. You can add, fucking Anakin before he fucking turned.
Yeah.
You can add Obi-Wan. You can add Rey. You can add basically just all the baddest ass Jedi that we've ever seen in any of the movies.
Can we throw in Palpatine and Darth Maul?
I don't want to put them in because I feel like they wouldn't work together.
Okay.
I feel like they would. Just let's say all the light side Jedi.
Okay.
Because,
Okay.
Because there's a reason why there's only 2 Sith, right? They don't
Right.
fucking work well with others.
Yeah.
Let's say we put all the Yoda and all of them motherfuckers, and we say they have boarded a Borg cube. This is a video game or some shit like that. They boarded a Borg cube.
To go save Locutus.
There's someone. Let's say Leia or someone is fucking caught in the Borg cube, but she's not dead. And the Jedi have to go into the Borg cube, and they have to get this person and probably kill everyone on board.
Some Borg tentacle porn.
What happens? And you're talking maybe 50 Jedi against a Borg cube. Can they overcome it?
If the Borg can adapt to the lightsaber, I don't think they can overcome it.
My money would be on the Jedi, and this is something that probably would not happen. But if I were the Jedi, this is what I would do. You're running around. You use the Force to pull the implants out of the Borg body.
Okay, that's a good one.
That would kill the Borg.
That would
You mean the
disable
human
them.
part of them?
Rip them out. No.
Oh, you mean the Borg implants?
The Borg implants. You rip those out, the human body dies.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if you have a goal and you're a Jedi, you have that ability. The problem is you're a good Jedi. You're the light side. Will they do that?
Yeah.
I don't think they would. I think Palpatine, Maul,
They'll
Dooku,
fucking definitely do it.
they
They'll
would
try
do
to,
that.
for sure.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, this is what'll work. We're gonna make this happen." But you get the good Jedi. I don't think they're going to sacrifice other humans
Yeah,
for that
because
goal.
first of all, killing one's fine because it kills them. It's a clean kill and they don't suffer and all that. That would make the Borg suffer. They would literally go, ah!
Right, yeah.
You'd see these poor beings that were once
But once
Humans-
they ripped it out, could they then would they still be adaptable, or would they just kill them?
No,
No,
because
they'd
it's
be-
it's so implanted in the body that if you don't do a specific procedure to remove it, it's just
Yeah.
death.
Yeah. It took
Death
a-
or
So they would
torture.
just die.
They,
Yeah.
Oh, they would
Oh,
die
yeah,
a
yeah.
painful death.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they would die a painful
So you
death.
think that they are capable, but that they wouldn't do it?
Yes.
But even if Leia's life's at stake,
Yes.
so you think they
Like
lose?
they wouldn't go through and murder a bunch of innocent people. Like
but they
you-
don't think they probably do. They consider them people.
because the Borg are technically people that have been overtaken by this genophagic disease.
Yeah, but if you but the
and it
difference-
can be reversed. They've
Oh, really?
they've shown that it could be like
Yeah.
7 and 9.
7, 9, and
But
and
that
Picard.
I mean, how did that happen?
She
That
got
surgery?
captured by Starfleet, and they surgically removed a lot of her plants, like the ones that they could without killing the body,
yeah.
and they kind of reprogrammed her to be a normal human being.
But then that scenario is not possible when you're talking about a fucking Borg cube. Because how can you subdue that many of them
Well,
be
that's
able
the
to
thing.
do
Like
it?
you're not going to be like that's not the point of boarding the Borg cube. Like the Borg cube is you're boarding to save somebody. So if that
I
is
mean, I
not an
just made that
option-
up. Let's just say they have to kill them.
Right. Oh well, if they have to kill them, then you just pull the implants.
So, but you think they're physically capable of doing it? Like, I mean, like you think that
The
they,
Jedi?
could, you would say they win.
If the Jedi would like, the only reason why the Jedi won't do it is because of the morals thing. Like morally, they will not end a life by ripping this. Fucking
And you know the funny
implant
thing
out.
about it is that if they realize that somehow, let's say they transport onto the port ship,
Which
not
they
being-
could,
they
which
could,
they could.
with not being done. If they realize that they don't, as long as they don't pose a threat to the Borg, they could easily just go to wherever Leia is and
Take her.
take her, and then hopefully escape with her without killing anyone. That's one of the flaws with the Borg. At the moment,
But that's the thing is they've done that before.
yeah,
Is they've gone the ship and they have not posed a threat to the Borg ignore them.
yeah.
The second they pick up, because they went after Picard.
Picard, yeah. The second
The second they grabbed Picard, all the Borg were like, okay, what's
yeah,
going on over
yeah,
here?
Exactly.
Like
But
now you're a threat because you're trying to
And
take
then-
over.
and that's the thing, right?
They're all like, "Ooh," they all stepped out of their
Yeah,
stepped out
so
of the
so
thing.
the Jedi can get on the Borg cube and they can walk around like just like be all super slow, and the Borg will just be like whatever. The second they grab Leia, all of a sudden the Borg can be like, okay, well what's going on over here?
So when they do that, you think they can survive and get out, or some of them will die?
Again, it depends on what they're willing to do. If they're willing to like go to the extent of essentially killing somebody by pulling out their Borg implants, then yeah, they can survive. If not, and they want to do the political route, they're done.
yeah.
They're done.
Gooch, what do you?
I kind of agree with you. I didn't think about that whole thing with pulling like ripping out their implants. They could do it 50 at a time, if it's 50 of them.
Yeah. How many
Well-
individuals are in a Borg cube
I don't know,
generally?
a few thousand.
A single
Oh,
Jedi
that's a
could
lot.
probably pull out a dozen.
Like you just go all at once.
Like
They
like,
could
like
see
it,
'em.
it would be like Magneto, right? Like you feel all the metal and you just rip, and then
Oh.
you get like 5, 6, 7 other force.
Now the
users do
question
that.
is that, I mean, there's a lot of bodies. Would they be able to move after a while? And they would just get bogged down.
maybe.
Oh, you mean like just they would be
Literally,
piling up on top of each other?
there would be just bodies everywhere, everywhere
true.
around. So
Oh, they could just cut through fucking the
but,
floor or some shit like
they,
that.
They could, but there'd be more Borg there. I mean, literally. I mean, every single one of those, like, it's like it's
yeah,
a
but if
big
they're all
square.
coming to one area, then they're all gonna converge on one area, so there wouldn't be less Borg there. You know what I mean?
True. I mean, I don't know. That's a good thing.
It's a close matchup.
It's a close match. That's a toss
Yes.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
That really is a toss up.
I go with Iron Man though. I'm not Iron Man.
The
Jedi.
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 The
yeah.
Jedi.
I'm gonna go with the Jedi. Too.
I'll go with the Jedi in this because that's a good one. I think that they would eventually win.
Yeah.
Because if
As long as they can just get over the fact that they're like, just pull out the fucking implants and you'll be fine.
no, to be honest with you, they a small group of Federation guys did go in there and they did steal Locutus out of her. I could see
Yeah.
the
and
fucking
the
the
Jedi
Jedi
going
being able
in,
to do the same
yeah,
thing.
and doing the
so
same thing, yeah.
I don't see it. It's the whole thing about it. The whole thing about it is actually being able to penetrate their shields and get there in the first place.
Yes, and again, if Starfleet could do it, then Jedi could
I don't
probably
know
do
if
it.
I don't know if the Jedi could do it, but I know. But like I said, I think that's the biggest thing.
So does
for
that change your answer for Death Star versus Borg cube?
No, I still think the Borg cube, fucking
Even if Vader and fucking Palpatine are on there, that could do this. as
yeah,
well.
because they're not I don't think they're gonna use the Force to fucking go after a cube that's fucking in space. Like the cube itself is gonna destroy the Death Star.
Yeah.
And
Before they ever got inside it or anything like that.
it's two separate events, right? Like you don't have to board the Death Star to be able to blow it up. Like you.
Well, I
can-
get that. I'm saying like, but in order for them to kill the Borg cube, they probably would have to board it and kill all the individuals
Oh.
because they couldn't probably destroy the Borg cube from inside the Death Star. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Because if they can't shoot it with that giant turbo laser, then they have to destroy it from the inside out.
But do you think that? So even that, do you think that like Palpatine and Vader working together could take down a Borg cube if they got on? If they boarded it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They probably could.
I think so.
That's interesting.
Oh, Gucci, you
I
actually,
don't think so.
you think it's just too many
there's,
numbers?
There's too many numbers.
Force lightning.
No, there's just too many numbers.
He
Fry,
said-
fry all the fucking circuits.
Well, he said that they could adapt.
They
to
could
it.
adapt to that. The only thing that I don't think they could adapt to is the Force. But I don't know about and I'm pretty sure they could adapt to the Force lightning.
Is it still physical lightning?
It is. It's
It
like
is,
it's like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying.
Then they probably could adapt
Yeah.
to it.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
the Force.
All right.
So that's why I agreed with you with the. With
So
the,
I'll
the
give you that,
implants.
but still, I think Palpatine and Vader as well
And they're
are
fucking
strong enough
ruthless.
in the Force to where they're like, all right, like I can toss you and you're not going to adapt to that, so bye. And they fucking just toss fucking Borg left and right, just gah.
I don't know. I think the Borg would eventually figure out how to beat them. They'd probably isolate them in a way to figure
Maybe.
out. 'Cause
Maybe.
that's what they usually do.
Yeah, maybe, but
Yeah. Like they're just so smart.
I think the slight advantage in that point would have to go to the Borg.
Okay. So here's my last question, and then we're gonna finish up, and then we're gonna be
All right.
completely done. It's already been decided. It's basically in these matchups. It was decided that Star Trek is superior to Star Wars. Obviously, you put the Jedi in there, and it changes the
Different story.
It's
It's
a
a
yeah.
different
different story. Totally
story.
different story.
And so, given that, if we're gonna say that these characters, okay, fine, whatever. But if you put the Jedi in, then might be this idea that Star Wars would win a lot of this, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's say the Star Trek you mentioned can travel time. Let's say they time travel, and somehow the whole galaxy and the whole universe of Star Trek has time traveled to the moment where Star Wars is at its height. And then they are, and somehow for some reason they are hostile towards each other. So you have this complete universe against this other galaxy, one galaxy versus another. I know there's multiple galaxies in Star Trek, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, you have one universe versus the other. All out war. Everyone on the Star Wars side against everyone on the Star Trek side. Who wins? And you're talking, and I'm not just saying like they're in ships. I'm talking like this is on planets. This is like going to Star Trek planets, going to Star Wars planets on foot, forces, stars, all these different things. Who wins? This is the ultimate question.
I don't know if they're on the ground.
And everybody.
Every single character.
If they're on the ground, like on a planet fighting against each other, Star Wars hands down because of the Jedi. But any other type of battle, Star Trek. Any other type.
Well,
of
let's
battle.
say what when you have a war, how do you know who wins the war? It's when one person is able to like overpower the other, where they would then have a form of governance over the losing side. So who would be victorious enough to say that we now rule both of these universes and we are the governing body?
Star Wars all day.
Really?
I don't. Their tech is just so low compared to. I mean, for
They
fuck's
are,
sake,
but-
for fuck's sake, he's talking about that one time traveling ship has like there's quantum torpedoes. That thing has like time torpedoes. That shit literally will erase you from fucking time.
Then use it.
They
And
don't-
if
they
they don't use
they
it,
don't
if
use
they
the-
if they don't use it in time,
They don't
like
They don't use it because they know it's too powerful. They don't
It-
use it. They have, they're kind of
as long as the Jedi work together and use the Force,
and
as opposed to just like fighting with lightsabers.
And then if it's the whole universe, you're throwing Q in the fucking into the fucking thing. Q is like everyone disappear.
If he's still alive,
I'm telling
if they can take out Q, Obviously, a different
It's
story.
one Q. They're talking about the
But
whole
you're also
continuum.
talking about the spirits of
But that's
like
the thing.
ancient
the,
fucking
the,
Sith and
the,
shit like
the
that
oth-
too, though,
the
right?
other
No,
Q,
because they're not there. Because the Q is actually
the other
beings that
Q
live
don't
there.
care about the humans though.
No, but he's saying
Only
that
the one
He's
Q.
saying that the whole universe. That means the Borg
Yeah, right,
are there.
right.
The
But the other Q don't care about that.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
only the
Devo
one
has a point
Q.
though.
No,
He's
but-
saying
but
maybe
then the
Q
Sith-
doesn't care about
then
the
Sith
conflict.
don't care about it. Why would the Sith be there? The Sith don't give a fuck about the Jedi. So
No, you're talking about subjugating every fucking
But
species.
you're
At that point,
no,
then like
the
why the
pro-
Klingons there? They don't
No,
care
see,
about the
the problem
humans.
is you're saying one universe versus another universe. So
Right.
everything in the Star Trek universe versus everything in the Star Wars universe. Everything in the Star Trek universe is the Q continuum, the
Right,
Breen,
right.
the Borg, species 3, 4, 6, blah.
But the
fucking
Q,
all of
but
them.
but not all the Q continuum care about the humans.
No, it doesn't matter. It's at that point. It's not about the humans or the Klingons. It's about this world, this universe, this overcoming this.
well,
other
at that point,
universe.
then Q win.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's my point. It's that
Nothing can beat that. then.
nothing can beat that. So when you put it like, and you put it in terms, so the problem is the terms are just they're too vague. They're too big, and that's the thing. You put one universe as another, especially someone that's like, I think the technology in the Star Trek.
But
universe is
I
vastly
made this.
superior.
I made it more specific. I said if you're gonna have a war, then you're talking
But you're
about
sa- but you're saying-
which
But you're
unit.
saying
Which
you're saying you're taking one whole universe versus another whole universe. You can't just it's just the humans from this one.
no,
And
I
then-
didn't say that. I'm
Well-
talking about everyone.
well-
but I'm also saying if you're gonna win the war, that means that you exert governance over
I
them.
understand that.
In
Right,
the
right.
wake of the war.
Not
Right,
necessarily,
So,
because-
Devo's point,
but
he's saying, would the Q continuum would they want to be involved in that?
But-
And if they don't want to be involved in that, then then like maybe they're obviously on the Star Trek side, right? But when you're talking about governing over a group of people, would they be involved in that?
Well-
So yeah, sure, they could do that, right? But
Well,
would
war,
they do it?
Well, war. I mean, that's if you want to stay there and to occupy them. What if you're there just to utterly destroy them? So you're saying that war is there their war is there to go and occupy them. That's your war.
no,
but-
what is war then?
War could be anything. You could be war if you're an enemy and you want to kill them, you go to war them and you utterly
Well, you're talking
destroy
about
them.
genocide. You're not
Well,
talking about
no, but
war.
that's what is war?
Genocide's not war. It's a fucking war crime.
Hey, well, that's because that's what the Geneva Convention has said that it's a
Yeah,
war
but
crime.
also you're talking
But-
about like killing fucking helpless people that aren't in a position to fight you.
That's what war is.
No, but I'm not talking about extermination because I'm talking. There's like
So
planets.
you're
in
saying,
bo-
so
well,
you're
I'm talking
saying
about
to
like, you
occupy
said-
them.
No, I'm saying like there's planets in both of these universes where like the species that live on that planet are not even capable of participating in some interstellar
True.
fucking
like the
war,
fucking Ewoks.
Yeah.
right? So like you're not gonna go murder them. I'm not saying like you're gonna go exterminate every
Maybe
being.
you
in that.
should, though?
I'm saying who would be the dominant governance if they fought if there was a conflict. Like I'm talking like
Governance?
the big one,
And that-
the
and that's
Jedi,
what-
the
and that's-
Empire
and that's
against
what I'm
the
saying where,
Federation
like,
and the fucking and these type of.
I
fucking
assume
people.
that there's one Q, and he gets like if there's one Q, he can get overtaken.
There's one Q. There's a Q continuum.
I
There's a lot
know,
of
but
Q.
what I'm saying is if there isn't, because the other Qs don't give a fuck about the humans, there's only the one, and only the one that puts himself in the middle of all the fucking. We never ever see the other Q continuum.
Well, yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
We see
see
another,
his kid.
No, we see another Q in Voyager, and he talks about the Q continuum. And he's like, there's like a bunch of gods and shit there.
And he's there for like 5 minutes.
You
He's
do
like, fuck
see
this,
him,
this
dude.
is dumb.
Dude, I know what you guys are trying to get at. You guys are trying to say like you're going to give us. I'm just saying that this is a ludicrous question because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would anyone want to go there to take governance? I'm like, you're saying okay. I think the Jedi would probably Jedi Council might be a better governance over the other one, but.
Well, I'm saying like if these two like universes are obviously like say they are just right next to each other now, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just the big space. Obviously, you're talking about interstellar travel, but they're right next to each other, right? Like they're going to interact with each other, and like everyone has like the Star Wars people have a completely different like approach to this shit that like a lot of the Star Trek people would not approve of, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, there's no fucking prime directive in Star Wars. They don't give a fuck about any of that shit.
Yeah, but not all the races in Star Trek have this prime directive. The Federation has a prime directive,
Yeah.
but the Ferengi don't give a fuck about that. The
Nope.
Cardassians don't give a fuck about
Nope.
that. The Romulans don't give a fuck about
Nope.
that. They'll go there and fuck everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, the Federation's the one that stopped them from doing that.
So, do you think
Yeah.
if they got there and there is that they would not fight each other?
No, the Federation would not fight.
No,
them.
I'm talking about like there's like if these universes collided, that they would just like be okay with each other, let these motherfuckers do what they want? Because I don't think some
I
of them
think-
would
I-
not do that.
I think the Federation would be willing to be open to let that happen. Like, you gotta think for the most part, like not every single like entity or like society in Star Wars is gonna be like
Yeah.
evil,
I
right?
mean, and look at what the Federation allowed the Cardassians to do to the Bajorans. I mean, they're evil. They subjugated the Bajorans.
It was
and-
just slaughter
It's
and murder,
slaughter and
24/7.
murder, rape, and all this stuff. But they could not. They were in a position they could not help them at that point. When they eventually did, they tried helping them, but the Bajorans had as much hate for the Federation as they did with the Cardassians.
Yeah, because at that point the Federation is kind of just watching.
Yeah, they were watching it happen.
Yeah.
So it, in a sense, is that I mean, if the Federation go, sure, I think they would just. I mean, they would like, well, we don't really like your guys' way of doing it. We'll stay out of your way. Don't fuck with us. And these are our planet. I mean, these planets want to. If a planet wants to join them, they probably would defend them. But if no planet wants to join the Federation, then we're like, well,
Okay, Empire versus Federation.
Empire.
I think the Empire has more ships, so I don't think they could.
And the Empire is a little more ruthless.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't like it. Like if the Empire decided to attack Earth, the Empire would get fucking destroyed by the ships there. I mean,
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the technology is so like it's so weak, dude. I think the Enterprise could take up all the ships that were around the
Star Destroyer.
the Battle of Endor. I think the Enterprise could kill all of them. Like one quantum torpedo would literally go through all those fucking ships.
Wow.
It's a quantum torpedo. It's not a physical thing. It's like it's made out of pure energy. It's a ball of energy, of quantum energy that flies through stuff. So your shields have to be able to absorb that or reflect that. I
Or
don't think
push it out so it doesn't fucking explode next to you.
Or exactly. So I don't know if I don't think the shields of the Star Wars universe can absorb that kind of energy because they've run into like I said again they run into lower and like the lower technology species that do have shields, but they have shields they're just kinetic shields.
Right.
So they deflect physical things, but they're not kinetic and energy shields, which means anything that's energy, just goes straight through them.
Right.
And how much can they take? So quantum torpedoes alone, I think a few quantum torpedoes would destroy all of those fucking things.
So like ultimately, like the fact that the effectiveness of the violent technology that Star Trek has, the peak of it is just a little bit higher. Like you have like these certain things that can destroy anything that Star Wars has, and then you also have like the peak of Q over anything that Star Wars has created. Like there's no being in Star Wars that's quite omnipotent like that.
If you leave Q out of it, let's say they leave Q out of it, all right, and just go by pure tech, I think Star Trek has the advantage. And like I said, if you leave Q out of it and leave the Force in, when they're on the ground, hand to hand combat, I mean, it has to be like. Really
I'm not sure. Are there enough are there physically enough Jedi even at their peak to overcome the disparity in technology if you don't take Q out?
No, because I mean,
there's just not enough of them, right?
Because like a Jedi, I mean,
they're generals.
The Jedi. I mean, obviously, I mean, they got beat out on Coruscant. I mean, by all the. I mean, sure they got ambushed, but when they decided that the ambush they were being ambushed, they eventually got exterminated.
So ultimately, the consensus is that Star Trek.
I don't know. That's my. I mean, if you
Devo?
guys.
I mean, I've already mentioned that. Like, if Star Trek has the better ability to, take over anything that Star Wars can do, but Star Wars needs like the Jedi and the Sith to work together to be able to overcome anything on Star Trek, and that would never happen. And again, you gotta look at like your Yodas and your Mace Windus. It's like that's a small group of guys, and even if they work together, they can't achieve the goal of overcoming all the technology and all the vast differences of just war that the Star Trek galaxy knows. So You know, I would think that this Star Wars group would be able to just take out anything from Star Wars, and
Star Wars. You mean Star Trek?
that's what Star Trek would take out anything from Star Wars, and with the exception of like maybe like if you can get a point blank shot with, or not point blank, but at least a shot with the Death Star, that would fucking turn the tide on something. But I mean, look at the characters. We've already went through all the characters, and most of them would destroy and smash on the Star Wars equivalents. And it's like, you know, and I think that's just the fact that Star Trek has more real and grounded characters and their abilities and things they can do as opposed to Star Wars.
Well,
But that's probably why I like Star Wars so much. So
No, I like Star Wars too. I mean, it's more fantasy. You know?
yeah, for sure,
It's
for
more
sure.
I'm all about that fantasy.
Yeah.
So put on your sexy library. DM me all your dirty pictures.
Well, that does it for our mega 4-part pod on Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Trek.
And the consensus, the social deviant consensus is that actually, in terms of fighting and war, Star Trek is superior. And on a case-by-case basis, individually, a lot of the Star Trek characters can defeat the Star Wars characters.
Yep.
Outside of the Jedi. But as we just discussed, if you put them on a large scale, the Jedi can tip the balance a little bit closer to Star Wars, but there might not be enough of them to overcome the Star Trek, especially when, like Gooch said, you have all these like non-Federation species that like do a bunch of powerful shit.
Yeah.
Even if you take Q off, it's just
No,
it's just really hard to overcome some
Yeah.
of the tech that they have.
it's ridiculous, dude.
Because actually, it's weird in Star Wars, the humans have the best tech, and in Star Trek, they don't.
Well, it depends. I mean, the Borg have the best tech, but then they are the antithesis of the Star Trek people. So, of Star Trek, I suppose. I mean, the Romulans have their tech. You know,
Like everybody has their own tech.
it has their own
Yeah.
tech. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think to be honest with you, I think the what is it? The Kardashians have like the worst tech. To be honest with you, but
They're fucking Kardashians.
yeah, the
What do you expect?
Kardashians have the worst tech.
The Kim and
Yeah.
Chloe and fucking Courtney and shit.
God.
So, let us know if you disagree. I know there's probably a bunch of Star Wars
Oh, the Star
heads
Wars-
out
I mean,
there
I
that
love
might
Star
not
Wars,
like
but
this, but there's probably like a bunch of Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans that are fucking smiling right now because they already knew all this shit. But we love them both.
Yeah,
We
give
love
us
them
your
both.
hate, give us your love, give us your hate.
All over Lucha's face.
That's right. I love it all. I love it all.
And we will see you soon in some commentaries and next week's podcast.
See ya.
See ya.